Right now you're warm, you don't even think about it. There's a dial on your wall. The second the air gets too cold, a machine kicks on. It fixes the problem before you even feel it. Home to car, car to office, all heated. The coldest part of your whole day is probably 10 seconds. That's the walk between them. For you, winter is an inconvenience. Scraping ice off a windshield, grabbing a jacket, complaining the sun sets too early. But for almost all of human history, winter wasn't an inconvenience. It was an executioner. And it didn't come from one direction. It came from four. Cold could kill you. Starvation could kill you. Predators could kill you. And the long black nights could grind you down before any of the others got the chance. So how did people survive that? No furnace, no supermarket, no real walls for hundreds of thousands of years. Because they did. And how they did it is one of the great achievements of our species. Enemy 1. The cold. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The human body is built for the tropics. We come from warm Africa. Left exposed in freezing weather, we go down fast. Hypothermia can take hold in hours. Fingers stop working. Thinking slows. Past a certain point, the body just shuts off. No fur, no claws, no natural insulation. As far as cold weather survival goes, we're one of the worst equipped large animals on the planet. And yet we didn't just survive winter. We walked straight into the worst of it. Into Ice Age Europe. Into Siberia, into temperatures the naked body was never built to handle. Fire was the first answer, but fire has a problem. It only warms the side of you facing it. It doesn't move when you do. The moment you step away to hunt or gather wood, the cold is back. What people really needed was warmth that traveled with them. That's where clothing comes in. But not just a hide thrown over the shoulders. A draped skin leaves gaps everywhere. Wind at the sides, bare arms. It falls off the second you move. It's better than nothing. But in real winter, better than nothing still gets you killed. The actual breakthrough was cutting hides into shaped pieces, then sewing them into something that fit the body. Sleeves, sealed seams, a pocket of warm air trapped against the skin, no matter how much you moved. That's the difference between a blanket and a coat, but that takes a needle. Not just any sliver of bone. One ground to a fine point, with a tiny eye drilled through it. Delicate enough to thread, strong enough not to snap. Archaeologists have found bone needles like this over 40,000 years old. These weren't accidents. Someone made these on purpose. Thread came from the animal too. Sinew, pulled and dried into something strong enough to hold a garment together. Fitted clothing wasn't a nice to have. It's the technology that let humans leave the warm continent they evolved in and settle the coldest places on Earth. Take away the needle and thread, and no one survives an Ice Age Siberian winter. Enemy 2, the night. Now you're dressed for the cold, but the sun's going down, and you need somewhere to survive it. Caves seem obvious. Steady temperature, no wind, no snow. But good caves were rare, and if you found one, someone else probably wanted it too. Most of the time, you had to build your own shelter. At a site called Medjurik in Ukraine, archaeologists found dwellings built roughly 15,000 years ago, in a landscape with almost no wood or stone, so people built with what they had. Mammoth bones, dozens of them per hut, jawbones stacked like shingles, tusks arched over doorways. These weren't quick throwaway shacks. They were serious, deliberate construction. Inside, every effort went into trapping heat. At a site in South Africa, researchers found carefully layered bedding, grass and leaves dating back 77,000 years, people making themselves comfortable, long before humans had even left Africa. Bone doesn't fit together neatly, so every gap became a target for wind. And people sealed them, one layer at a time, hides pinned over the walls, turf stacked outside, sometimes even packed snow, because snow traps air, and air holds heat. Bit by bit, the wind ran out of ways in. The shelter stopped being just walls. It became a system that kept people alive through nights that should have ended them. But a sealed-up shelter creates its own problem. Keeping a fire going all winter eats through fuel fast. And getting fuel means going back out into the cold, again and again. You're tied to that shelter, which means your food has to be nearby, or already stored. Enemy 3. Hunger. Here's something modern life has completely erased. In winter, the land stops feeding you. Plants die back, berries disappear, roots freeze into the ground, animals vanish or thin out. For a hunter-gatherer, winter meant the earth itself stopped providing. Survival became math. Gather enough in the warm months to carry the group through the ones with almost nothing. So people got serious about storage. Drying was the first trick. Thin slices of meat left in the sun or over low smoke lose their moisture. Without moisture, meat can't rot. Dried, smoked meat could last months. An insurance policy laid down in autumn, against starving in February. The second trick was turning the cold itself into a weapon. Dig down into permafrost, pack it with meat. The ground becomes a natural freezer. The very thing trying to kill them became the thing that kept their food alive. But the single most valuable food wasn't meat. It was fat. Burning huge amounts of energy just to stay warm means lean meat alone doesn't cut it. Fat is the densest fuel there is. In winter, it was worth more than almost anything. People rendered it down, mixed it with dried meat, into a compact, calorie-dense ration. In a season where every calorie mattered, fat was often the line between a group that made it to spring and one that didn't. Enemy 4, the dark. You're warm, sheltered, fed, 3 down. But the fourth threat doesn't touch the body at all. It goes after the mind. The further north you go, the shorter the days get. A handful of usable daylight hours, followed by 15 or 16 hours of cold, useless dark. No traveling, no hunting, just the same small group, in the same small space, night after night. That kind of confinement wears people down. In a way, hunger and cold never quite manage. But ancient people didn't just endure those long nights. They filled them. This was the time for everything that didn't need daylight. Fixing tools, shaping new spear points, mending clothes, twisting fiber into cord, carving. The dark wasn't wasted time. It was workshop time, spent preparing for the moment the weather turned. And it was more than labor. That's where people talked, where elders passed knowledge to the young, where the same stories got told again and again, carrying a group's memory forward. A researcher studying the Yuhuansi people of the Kalahari found something striking. Once night fell, conversation shifted sharply, away from practical talk toward stories, song, and ritual. Firelight itself seemed to loosen what people were willing to share. Huddled together against the dark, people kept each other warm and kept each other human until the light came back. What it built stepped back, and the pattern is hard to miss. Winter didn't just get survived, it built us. The cold forced fitted clothing into existence. The scarcity of shelter forced real architecture. The seasonal gap in food forced storage and preservation. And the long nights account for a huge share of where human culture itself took shape. Most of the technology that let our species spread across every climate on Earth was forged in the fight against the cold. 4 weapons: cold, night, hunger, dark, and 4 answers: fire and fitted clothing, built shelter, stored food, and the fireside where culture was born. None of it was guaranteed. It was earned, every single year, through preparation and stubbornness. And now, you turn a dial and the room warms. You open a door to food grown on the other side of the planet. In December, you complain about early sunsets. From inside a house your ancestors couldn't have imagined, having never once felt the specific dread of the first snowfall. Wondering if you'd stored enough to see spring? You don't survive winter anymore. You barely notice it, not because winter got softer, but because 100,000 years of people freezing, starving, and huddling together in the dark slowly figured out how to beat it, one invention at a time.